This is Cattleya eldorado, semi-alba, flammea, possibly crocata. Eldorado is a Cattleya species from Brazil that grows in two main different areas, the Campinas and the Igapo. And basically, it's from low elevations, so it's a really warm grower. It doesn't want to go below 70 degrees at night or ever. It's an equatorial species at low elevations, so day length does not affect it. The seasons only vary slightly by the amount of moisture that comes down. Day temperature should be 80 to 85, and the humidity for this plant really, a 65% would be minimum, absolute minimum. It doesn't like dry conditions. This is definitely not one for the windowsill. But, and as you can see, even here with my humidity, even with daily watering, it's getting a little bit shrivelly. I'm going to have to water this a few times a day, really get my humidity up to get those pseudo bulbs to plump back up. But back when I really started getting serious into orchids, I bought a book called The Classic Cattleyas by Art Chadwick, Jr. and Sr., and they cover all the unifoliate species Cattleyas, large flowered unifoliate species in that book, and they talk a lot about the history of the orchid madness in England, and then the hybrids and the cut flower market, and some of the great big old orchid growers and things like this in that book. But they also talk about each species and the culture of each and the different types, some of the different types. But back when I got that book, I saw pictures of a Cattleya eldorado in that book, and I don't know if I think it was the lip pattern. I just love it. And I really, really wanted one, and I was like, ooh, I gotta get one of those from my collection. And then I read ... can cost a king's ransom, and I was like, oh, I'll never have one of those. But finally, after I've been growing about 10 years or so, I thought, I probably could get one and not kill it. So I searched for months and months to find a Cattleya eldorado in the United States, and it was really difficult. And finally I came to, I thought, you know what, Andy's Orchids has species, and although this is not listed on the list, there is somewhere on his website that says if you're looking for something you can't find, ask us and we might be able to help. So I sent Andy an email and I asked him if he had any Cattleya eldorado, and he said yes, I have one. And this was a not for sale plant, but he needed to sell it because the heating costs for the greenhouses were getting a little high, so I think he said he was getting rid of his hot growing greenhouse. So I asked how much, and he told me, and I bought it, and it came to me mounted, as Andy's does. They grow things mounted, and this plant is big. The roots come down probably 3 feet from the base of the growths, and big plant. But if you are ever considering getting really, really into serious Cattleya species, and you can provide insanely high humidity and very, very warm temperatures, then get one, because they're fantastic plants. The fragrance on these is indescribable. It's like a Cattleya, but it's not like any other Cattleya I've really smelled before, and hard to find, kind of. I mean, it depends. I did get some from Brazil just recently that are little babies, Maybe will bloom in a year or two. But a blooming size Cattleya eldorado is kind of a difficult thing to find, and they're not going to be cheap. So, I mean, I don't know. There's something about it that I just love, and I've always wanted one. So, it came to me blooming, and I could smell the flowers through the box. It was so exciting. And this plant, it's a vigorous grower. When I got it, it was putting out 2 leads at a time. Now it does 4 to 6 at a time. So as you can imagine, it makes a lot of growth quickly. And it's quite a bit. Maybe I can get back a little bit farther and show you. There's a lot of growths on that plant. And I get 2 to 3 flowers per growth blooming, and I took this in for judging last spring, but the flowers were kind of damaged and kind of wimpy because the plant, I hadn't been giving it what it needed. I kind of was just figuring out like the little nuances of growing this plant. So the flowers weren't at their best, but I took it in the fall. Well, I cut off an inflorescence to take it because I didn't want to take the plant. It's getting really big and unruly. So I took an inflorescence, put it in a vase, and put it in my cup holder. And on my way to judging, unfortunately, I accidentally crushed the flowers. But, so they couldn't be judged for AOS judging. But one of the judges, when I was leaving, he asked me, he's like, "Hey, is that your wallisii?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You know, you don't see that species anymore very often, and that is one of the best ones I've ever seen." So hopefully I can get it into judging the next time it blooms, and it'll be good. By the way, that flower is not, it looks jacked on video, but it's actually, it's not, it looks like it's folded in like this, like that around the column, but it's not. It's just the way it twists. So if you're looking at that and wondering, I don't know, I don't think that's very good, that's why it's just a trick of the camera. So eventually I've got this little cup on here attached to the side. The roots are growing into that. I'm growing roots and leads into that because there's no way you could just take a division off of this plant without doing insane damage. So I'm growing some divisions off of the mount to send one to a friend of mine for safekeeping in case anything ever happens to my plant. Then I can get a piece back, and I think I might sell one to kind of defer the cost of this plant. So eventually I'll probably breed it as well and make more of these. I don't know, there's just, it's such a beautiful species, but it really is not the kind of Cattleya generally that you can just put in with your other Cattleyas in your greenhouse at 55 degrees in the winter, because it's not. I've had roots shrivel up and just die overnight because it was a little bit cold. So they're kind of sensitive that way, and they're kind of they're more finicky if you don't have the right conditions. So it's definitely one for a sort of specialized growing area. But that said, it has been doing beautifully under my LEDs, and if you wanted to get a small LED and make your own hot growing enclosure just for your one plant, or like maybe eldorado and dowiana or whatever seedlings you could put in there too, you know, you could definitely do that. So the other 2 babies that I got, this one here, and the clear pot with the little stake and all the twist ties. This is one of my new babies, and then this one here is another one. And when you import orchids from another country, I don't care what eBay says, you need to have CITES import papers, and the exporter needs to have CITES export permits. And if you don't, you are smuggling orchids back and forth, and vice versa. If you want to send one out of the country, you need to have the paperwork for it, and phytosanitary certificates also, because this poor girl on YouTube, she's like, I bought this orchid from China on eBay, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal that I did that, and I found out later that it's endangered and all of this, and you know, that's a horrible, horrible mess. So hopefully, I don't know, I think I'll make a video about how to not illegally smuggle orchids, because you don't want to get raided over a $5 eBay purchase. You don't want the cops coming to your house with guns, shooting your dogs, and all of that. So that would be awful over just some plant that you bought because you didn't know what the laws were. So I guess that's everything I wanted to say about this beautiful thing. I don't know. I've got 5 flowers on here right now. I've got those 3, and then this one is part of the second inflorescence, and then I've got another one back there. So, yeah, for posterity, I wanted to record this orchid because I didn't get around to making a video of it last time, and it's really, really pretty. I love it. It's my pride and joy. Oops, there we go. It's my pride and joy. I want to get a nice few pictures maybe for the thumbnail. Okay, thanks for watching.